This is Rob Valdez for Vision CPA, and I want to talk about getting a foot in the door, starting your accounting career, how to get that first position, how to get things going. Recently, a student reached out to me and asked how they can get their first career, how they can get their first job, their first position, their first internship or first accounting related position because they have some work experience, but it's not in accounting. It's just general work experience doing other things. And they're asking, how can I kind of get this process started? And they're feeling a little uncertain because it doesn't seem exactly clear. And I can understand this. I um, originally didn't have the traditional path into accounting. As a matter of fact, my path was a little bit non traditional in terms of how I got into accounting. I originally had a finance degree in undergrad, and then I ended up, after going through a couple of positions, one each which was even a accounting recruiting position. I ended up working more and more in accounting. I ended up working in accounting for a software developer. I ended up working as an assistant controller for a company that was pretty tech forward in terms of the types of services they were providing. And I was doing more and more accounting and had a finance degree and not an accounting degree. And ultimately, I felt like if I wanted to take this career further in a meaningful way, I would have to get my CPA, maybe even get experience in public accounting, and really try and follow a more traditional path. So that's what I did while I was working as an assistant controller for a company. I went and enrolled in a master's program, ended up starting my master's in accounting, ultimately getting my master's in accounting, getting the CPA, and working as an auditor. And even just starting off that sort of first few steps really kind of started already opening meaningful doors for me. So when I enrolled into the master's program, that ended up opening up like all the career advisory services for me at the university. And then they invite all the students and alumni to the career fairs as well. I ended up going to the career fair and meeting a bunch of accounting firms. And I told myself, well, I'm going to kind of see what this is all about. And maybe I'll get an offer out of this, but maybe it'll be a process of a couple of years to kind of get my break in, get my foot in the door to really work for a public accounting firm, for example, or work in a more concentrated, advanced way in this profession. But as it would happen, I ended up getting an offer from the career fair. I actually ended up translating a couple of offers out of that and ended up taking one, ended up working in public accounting. And actually, because of my background working at technology companies, I ended up leveraging that at the public accounting firm and started doing IT audit. And then IT audit involves SOC reports and audits where you audit information systems. And because of that experience, I ended up kind of pivoting a little bit more focused on specifically that and that alone instead of financial statement audits, which opened up cybersecurity and cyber risk assessments and cyber advisory services and penetration testing, those kinds of things. And I ended up really kind of following my passion at that point. I taught myself to code. I ended up starting an automation practice. I ended up going on to start a digital advisory services for a firm and work in data analytics and business intelligence and even artificial intelligence and kind of do a lot of things that I find very interesting for me because those are my passions. So I think that many people, even without the traditional background or not knowing how to get started, can find a way to open those doors and find a way to really get that momentum to leverage this in the direction that you want. What I tell people that is very helpful at the beginning is kind of really understanding and crystallizing and knowing your goals. If you have the goal of becoming a CPA, be very clear about that with yourself so that you can understand the education and certification requirements as well. If you have a goal of taking that CPA profession into a certain direction, like tax or audit or advisory services or forensic accounting or internal audit or CFO type of role, know those things, at least know your idea and your inspiration about those things. Because even if you're going to change your goals over time, having a direction that you're heading in pulls you in the right way as opposed to just aimlessly kind of thinking generally about the career. It's probably not enough to just say, oh, I just want to be an accountant. Maybe you want to be an accounting manager someday who works for a not for profit in healthcare. Maybe you want to be a CFO someday who works for a big publicly traded company. Or maybe you want to be partner at an accounting firm. Maybe you want to start your own accounting firm. Maybe you want a job that allows you to do remote accounting and dedicate a certain amount of time to your family. Maybe you want to do all these things and combine your passion in a way that's unique to you. If you identify those goals and you're very clear about them and even write them down, that can be very helpful in deciding how to build your foundation. Because what you want to do is build a foundation in terms of education, in terms of certification, and then in terms of associations that you're going to make as well, right? So education, if you're going to go on to pursue the CPA, you need those 150 credit hours. Maybe you'll end up going to get a master's or an MBA. Certification, if you aspire to be a CPA, you know you've got to pass those exams and get the required experience. And association, if you know you're going to go in that direction, then maybe you're going to join the AICPA or some local chapters of your state board of accounting association, or maybe other types of associations. There's a lot of different types of associations that you can join. If you do want to be an internal auditor, for example, you can join a local chapter of the Institute of Internal Auditors, the IIA. If you want to be an IT auditor, you can join a local chapter of ISACA, which used to stand for Information Systems Audit and Controls Association, even though now we just say ISACA. If you want to become a forensic accountant, maybe you'll join a chapter of the ACFE, the Association of Certified Fraud Examiners, and maybe you'll set your goal to go on and not even get a CPA, but maybe get a CFE, Certified Fraud Examiner certification, so that you can pursue that type of path, which can lead to working for the government, Department of Treasury, the IRS, law enforcement agencies, all those types of things. So by identifying your goals, now you know which type of foundation to build. And once you've got that foundation started and you start laying those initial layers of the foundation for education, certification, and association, then you'll start being able to open doors in a meaningful way through your education, through the university, or your alternative education means, you'll be able to use those contacts, the professors, the instructors, the administrators, the advisors, your peers, other students in the program. You'll be able to leverage those into introductions and relationships. From your certification work, maybe you're going to join a study group, join a student association, join something that'll help you prepare for the CPA, or contact materials providers for those types of certifications. And as a result of that, you'll join some types of associations and chapters, and you'll meet people there, and they'll have networking events as well. And you'll be able to leverage those into introductions. And when you make those introductions, what you want to do is clearly express your goals. You want to tell them about your vision of where you see yourself. I want to be a CPA who works with professional athletes, right? I want to be a certified fraud examiner who ends up going to work for the IRS. I want to be a financial analyst. I'm going to start off and get my CPA, and I'm going to join a FP&A department, a financial planning and advisory department, because ultimately I want to build budgets and track progress against strategic plans. All those different types of things are very clear visions of your goals. And when you express those to people as you're making those introductions and meeting people and reaching out and asking for help or asking for mentorship or asking for advice, when you clearly describe the vision of what you want, they'll be able to think of people they can introduce you to, resources they can share with you, introductions they can make for you to companies or other people in the profession, or even just someone else who maybe knows something more than them. they'll be able to kind of get those things going for you because you clearly express your vision when you open the doors for those people. The other thing I'll say is it's really important along this process to lean into your strengths. You probably have natural skills, interests, passions, hobbies, affinities that are meaningful and strong and important for you, right? Maybe you're someone who's deeply analytical and you don't mind a lot of work in reconciliations and really digging into the data. So you know you're going to do a good job of being able to do detailed analysis and investigations. Maybe you feel comfortable being an auditor in the technical detail. Maybe you feel comfortable being an examiner, really digging through records of fraud, or maybe you feel comfortable building models and really help prepare the valuation for how much a company's worth or how much damages have cost in a lawsuit or something like that. And you know that about yourself. Or maybe you're far more extroverted, perhaps, as one example, and you love going out and meet people and relationships and building those things and connecting people to one another. Maybe as a result of that, you can lean into that passion and think, well, I could leverage my business development inclination or my natural sort of social inclinations into perhaps trying to become partner at a CPA firm. Or maybe I can leverage that into helping with fundraising for a not for profit that I really feel committed to or feel strongly about. Or maybe you can leverage that into becoming a little bit more of a leader and kind of take a career from accounting into more financial analysis and then ultimately into CFO and maybe even leading a department or leading a team. Any of those types of things are great opportunities for you to leverage your skills and leverage your passions. So what we really need a lot more of is for people to uh, know those things that interest them and bring those to the profession. And that way you can work to serve your passions. You can work to bring your unique personality. You can work to bring your perspectives to the profession and do something interesting and meaningful and helpful. So that's kind of the overview of how you can get those sort of pieces aligned to really get your foot in the door. But what you should think about next is how to get started. So it depends on where you are in your journey. If you do not yet have a clear goal or goals sort of defined for yourself, then that would be kind of that initial step. Get that thought out, really think about that. And maybe that means investigating opportunities in the profession. Maybe it means investigating certifications. Maybe it means investing different career paths and jobs that are available to CPAs or available to advisors. Maybe that's the first thing for you to do next so that you can kind of think that through and draft that out and get that down on paper and really start talking to people about it, telling them about your interests and hearing their feedback and meeting other people who do the same thing. Or maybe you already have your goals clearly defined. So now it's time for you to line up that foundation with the goals and think about what sort of education you need and how can you get that ball started and what sorts of certifications you may need and how can you start studying for those or getting the materials for those or meeting people who are already doing that. And maybe you can go look for the associations, the professional associations that are aligned to your interests and go see if they have a local chapter. That might be the next step. Or if you're already on the way to having your goals documented and sort of clearly defined for you, and you've got your foundation already started, you're in an academic program, you're already kind of preparing to get materials to study for a certification, you even are starting to join those associations. Now it's time to take that next step and get that door open. Tell people what it is that you want. Tell your peers, tell your professors, tell your instructors, tell your mentors, tell your colleagues, tell those people what you want so that they can be thinking on your behalf how to help you. Because the people in your life who want the best for you, they really want to know what they can do to help you. And some of those are advisors, or some of those are people in your class, some of those are family members, some of those are friends and friends of family, all those types of things. But until you're not communicating explicitly and talking about your vision they don't know exactly what it is that you want, and they haven't yet thought of, as a result of that, of how to help you. And just because you ask them doesn't mean they'll know right away. It may take them a little while, and maybe a couple of months go by and something suddenly triggers, or they meet someone that they want to introduce you to, or they figure out a job opportunity that comes up that makes them think of you. But it was because you expressed your goal, because you started building that foundation, because you started telling people about what you want in order to open the door. That helped really get everything started for you. So if these types of things are useful to you, or if you have questions about these types of things, then I would love to discuss them further. Maybe you have your own experience you'd like to share. Maybe you have your own thoughts about what's worked for you. Reach out to me, rob@vision.cpa. I'd love to discuss it further with you. Love to see how we can get you some help. Love to see how we can build the profession together and do something great.